Hello, everybody. I'm Nicole. I'm so excited to be here with you for one of my favorite things to do, which is closing the end of the year. So today is closing your 2021 clear and confident, so you can start 2022 with intention and with clarity. And one of the best things to do at the end of the year, and I really love, is to reflect. And there's so many reasons to reflect, to really complete and look back. And one of the things that's so important is so that you understand that there are no mistakes. One of my teachers always says, there's no mistakes if you learn something. And he has said it to me many times the last couple of years in particular. There are no mistakes if you learn something. And I'm here to repeat it to you because it's really important for us to remember. And the way you learn something is by looking back and understanding what it is that you learned. You can't learn without that reflection place because those learnings are actually also what's going to help you start the next year clear and powerful. And I'm going to talk about how you can work and look into 2022 clear and powerful at the end of our call today, end of this video, because it is important for us to understand to both close and complete, and then also to move forward and to look at the next place. So today, I'm going to take you through several steps that I do for myself to really close a year clearly and powerfully, and so that you can then move forward into that next stage and that next place for yourself, and then you can really be so clear for 2022. And I'm so excited to do this because it's such an incredible way to really learn and see and understand what happened, because a year is actually quite a long time. The beginning of 2021, if you look back then, remember many of us were in lockdown at that time. Many of you had made tons of changes from the pandemic from 2020. We didn't know where we'd be by the end of this year, and here we are. So here are the questions to start to take you through so that you can really understand what it is. And let's be clear, there's many different methods for this. There's lots of different practices. You'll find lots of different people doing things for closing powerfully into the year. For me, the most important thing, so these questions are very helpful. And I will say I love these questions. I've been working on them myself. They really help me. The most important thing is to actually do it. The most important thing is to actually do it, because if you don't do it, then that's where we lack that completion, and you can lack understanding what it is that you learned and where those challenges came into your own life. Because I know for all of you that you have been through a lot. You've been working on all kinds of things this year, whether it's in your business or your personal relationships, in your career, in your parenting, in being a better partner or spouse, finding a partner or spouse, understanding what your next stage is. I'm working with a ton of high achieving women right now, and we're looking into your clear calling starting in January in my course, where we're really looking at what is it that's next. So many women are, and I know, are in that reflection stage. And regardless of where you are, this is a very powerful way to complete the year. The truth is, you can complete this year at any time, this way, anytime. It doesn't have to be at the end of the year. And there's something really powerful to that bookend of time that we get for the calendar year. So we are doing it right now for the end of December 2021. You might be watching this in the future, and you can do this for the end of any time frame. You can do this for the end of any project cycle. You could do this for the end of a relationship. You could do this for the end of a business. You could do this for the end of you could be moving somewhere and closing the chapter of a location. You could be, moving out of an apartment or a home into the next place. And these questions are so supportive for any kind of completion. And again, at the end of the year, a really powerful way for you to do this. So they're very simple. There's only 5 questions here, and you can write them down as we go. And then you can really start to look and reflect on these questions so that you can then start to say, okay, this is so important to me. This is where I grew. This is what I learned. This is what I really saw. Okay. So if you're ready for this, pop a yes below into the chat. Let me know that you're ready for these questions, that you're ready for a clear and complete end of the year. And then what we'll do here is ask the first question. And so really in 2021, the first question is, what are you most proud of? What are you most proud of? And this is such an awesome question to really say, what are you most proud of having done this year? What are you most proud of? Could have been like maybe you launched a business. Maybe you did make a really bold career switch. Perhaps you did something super fun and you're so proud of something you did that was really fun. I can tell you one of the things I was proudest of was actually making the effort to go see BTS live in LA. And I know it doesn't seem like, of all the business things I've done and all the relationship things I've done, I was really proud of taking time to have fun and to go be with friends and to do something that I'm really passionate about. That is just something that was a really great experience for me and really, really memorable. So it could be something like that. It could be that you took a vacation. It could, I took a solo vacation this year to Kauai to really celebrate the end of a divorce, to celebrate a new chapter and a new beginning. And I was just proud of taking a full week by myself. It was huge. So those are some ideas for things that you could do. For you, it could have been huge for something that your kids did and that you were able to support them. For you, it could have been really huge that you got through the end of a school year and you didn't have your kids were at home that whole time. Like, yes, be proud of something like that. Those are huge accomplishments. So being proud of making a list of everything that you're proud of yourself for 2021. It's been a big year. It's been a really big year. And it's important for us to reflect on and be proud of where you succeeded, where you did well, saying good job to yourself for whatever it is that happened. And you're like, man, that was so big. Maybe you wrote a book. Maybe you drafted a book. Maybe you were starting to look at the next chapter of that. Maybe you're like, oh, you got really clear. It was time for you to transition something big in your life, whatever it is. Maybe you moved homes. There's so many places people have been doing really interesting things. Be proud. Okay, so that's number one. What are you most proud of? Number two, question two, what am I grateful for? What am I grateful for? And can you be really grateful for whether it's something that you did that was big in a transition, or can you be grateful for where you are in your life right now? Can you be grateful for travel, for health? Oh my gosh, health is so huge. Can you be grateful for the people you love? Can you be grateful for their family? Can you be grateful for your job? So even if you're in a place that you're looking to transition your job, can you be grateful for the one that you have right now? From the place of gratitude is where we can really start to see what's next. And so, can you be grateful for everything that has happened so far? I mean, be grateful. Can you be grateful for challenge? Let's be honest, the challenge is where we grow and learn. And these are some more questions are coming up, but really to even be grateful for the challenge is going to help you start to shift your mind around what was going on in this year. So, what are you grateful for? Write down everything. One of the ways that you can make this super extra fun if you want to do extra credit, and I know my women love homework and they love extra credit, is actually to go through your entire calendar day by day for the year and then really see everything you can be grateful for. So you could write down, I mean, there's going to be, if you go back through your calendar, and I do like to do this day by day and look at literally everything that happened, it's like, whoa, it's amazing. It's just like if you turn, when you have those big decade birthdays, 30, 40, 50, and you look back at the past 10 years, it's remarkable what has happened. And it's true of a year and it's true of 10 years. And so it's really cool to go back and look back at where you were in January 2021 and then to see what you can be grateful for this entire year. Okay. So number one is, what are you most proud of? Number two is, what are you grateful for? The third question is, what was your biggest challenge this year? What was your biggest challenge this year? And then maybe you had more than one giant challenge. I know I had several big challenges this year. So, what was your biggest challenge? And to understand and to see where you felt really challenged. Because when you start to understand where your biggest challenges were, then you can start to see the common thread. So, in your biggest challenges, it could be they were really clear ones, like I changed jobs. It could be your biggest challenge was something like setting boundaries. Perhaps your biggest challenge this year was prioritizing yourself. Perhaps your biggest challenge this year was to do something that your intuition told you to do that felt very scary and outside the box, and you did it anyway. Perhaps your biggest challenge was to really start to tune into intuition because you haven't done it before. Perhaps your biggest challenge this year was to ask for help. That is such a big one I see over and over again for high achieving women, that asking for help is one of the hardest things that they do for themselves. And many skip it, right? They're just like, I'm going to do it, go it alone. And so maybe you didn't ask for help yet. This is the thing. We're just listing what the challenge was, but you know that it is a challenge for you. You know that it's difficult for you to ask for help. So that could have been your biggest challenge. So I want you to just really reflect on that one. What was my biggest challenge this year? What stopped me, right? Because that's actually our fourth question. Where did you limit yourself? Where did you limit yourself? So first you had to identify your biggest challenge. And then the fourth one is to limit yourself. Perhaps you actually let your biggest challenge stop you. Perhaps you did that. Perhaps there's other things where you limited yourself, where you knew it was time to do something different and you didn't do it and you limited yourself. And what we can do when you start to ask these questions and you start to reflect on these questions is then you can start to see the threads. So I'll share some of my own examples from this because it's important for us to see. So one of my biggest challenges this year was setting some new boundaries. Another huge challenge for me was also around doing things that felt vulnerable in my business. And I felt like I sometimes limited myself because I was really afraid during those times. I also am in a relationship now, and I felt pretty challenged this year around being emotionally open and vulnerable in that relationship. Those were huge challenges for me. And so when I look at those things, it's like, oh man, I felt so challenged. And then I also can start to see where did I limit myself in different moments. And when I start to look at those places where I limited myself and I really start to see a common thread through the limitations, I can start to see what was really behind all of it. And I'm just going to reveal this to you, which is fear. Right? I was afraid. I was afraid. I was afraid of setting boundaries because I was afraid of pissing people off. I was afraid in my business that if I took a risk, I might fail. I was afraid in my relationship that if I was emotionally open, he might not be receptive to what I had to say and that might not want to be in that relationship with me. And so when you look at those things and you look at the baseline of that fear, I'm like, oh man, that is the place where limits happen for myself. When I feel challenged, typically it's because I feel fear. And then if I let that fear run the show, that is actually when I limit myself. So this is something for you to start to reflect on when you start to really take an honest, hard look at challenges. And then you start to take an honest look at those limits you place on yourself because you feel challenged and understanding that common thread, tying that together, that's actually awesome. You're like, what, Nicole? You just told me I'm afraid. But yeah, it is actually awesome because it's awesome in that now you can say, okay, I am ready to interrupt that pattern in the new year in 2022. I understand my patterns. I understand these things that are going through my brain that stop me, that make me feel challenged, that limit me from actually moving forward. I had many times this year where I didn't really want to speak up in relationship in particular because I was afraid. I was afraid he wouldn't be receptive. I was afraid that it would turn into an outcome I didn't want. And so those moments, like I really felt I could have really limited myself. And I did for stretches limit myself. But then really what I had to do is convert that and interrupt that pattern so I could make a change. Right. So this is what we're looking for, what we're interested in, and what for you to start looking at where you're challenged, where you've limited yourself. Okay. So now we're going to go to question 5, which is what were the most important lessons? What were your most important lessons from 2021? So it could be that you really started to learn setting boundaries was important. And the lesson was you had more space and free energy. Right? It could be you decided to really approach an important relationship in your life differently, like a sibling or a parent. It could be you had a really big lesson around intuition. This one is always such a great one. There's both the lessons of following intuition and there's the lessons of overriding your intuition. When you override your gut hit and you don't follow your intuition, that is actually a super important lesson. Learning what the cost of overriding your intuition. When we have lessons like that, they're so essential. You need to have those lessons to understand how to do things differently. Perhaps you had a big lesson around wanting to follow a big dream and either following it or not following it. There's both, it goes both ways. Perhaps you had a really big project launch this year at work and your lesson was, I was afraid and I did it anyway. That's such a cool lesson. You could have had a lesson around really taking care of yourself and prioritizing yourself, both the times you did and the times you didn't. So what you're looking at now is like, what are my most important lessons from the year? And can you see what we're doing with all of these things? What you're grateful for, what you're most proud of, where your lessons are. We're really looking to tie everything together so that you can actually look back, connect all the dots of all the things that you learned so that you can now have that bravery for yourself and that confidence to go forward. It doesn't get any different. Like, it's not like you have answers going forward. All you ever have is this moment. But what you can do is when you tie everything together and you look back and you understand that there's always going to be a lesson and whatever you've gone through in your life, it can give you that deeper sense of bravery and confidence that you can keep going forward, and you know there will be a lesson on the other side. That you know that there's going to be this big change, this big intensity you might have experienced and transition this year. I've seen many of my women go through it where changing jobs, moving homes, moving locations, kids aging to different, going through different challenges in school and all of those things, that when they really can reflect and see the lesson in there, both as a parent or as an individual or as a family member, as a daughter, as a sibling, when they can see those lessons, it actually deepens that level of understanding and being brave for the next time a challenge comes up. We're here not just for those times that are good, because when times are good, we tend to not do anything. It's in the times of challenge that we actually grow and expand. It is in the times of challenge, it's in the middle of heartbreak that your heart can actually expand. It's in the middle of um, really feeling like you're not doing a great job at work that you can start to grow and expand. It's when you are promoted that you can start to grow and expand, right? So what I'm interested in for you is for you to start to reflect well enough so that you can truly take it to that next level. Okay, so I want you all to start dropping some of the reflections into the chat below. Let me know what you're starting to see for yourself, what you're getting from doing this exercise, and what it's allowing yourself to open up to. Because in 2022, we're actually going to be doing lots of powerful things. I have some amazing workshops coming up that are really about starting the year with intention and clarity. And the way to get to intention and clarity is to make sure that you're really complete and done on the previous lessons, that you understand those lessons, that whatever happened in your life, you learned from it. And that learning is actually allowing you to open the next stage and the next chapter. There's no time like a new year to do that. And this is relevant at any time of life. So make sure you're dropping your reflections below. If this is landing with you and you're seeing and opening up to new ways, share it in the chat. Let me know in the comments. And I'm so grateful for all of you being here with me today. And I'm also so excited to share with you a workshop I have coming up in January, which is a vision board workshop, Design Your 2022. So I'm going to pop that into the chat for you to start to sign up for that workshop, because this workshop on January 12th is really going to set you up for that next stage, for that next chapter for yourself. I'm going to put it in the comments below and we'll share the details with you. You're the first to hear about this, and all those things are happening coming up for the year so that you can close your 2021 well, and that you're really starting 2022 with clarity and intention. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.